One of the most remote regions on Earth has been burning this summer. An unprecedented number of wildfires have sprung up in or near the Arctic, including in Russia's Siberia region. Environmental groups have slammed Russian authorities, saying their slow response has had huge consequences. Greenpeace says the Siberian wildfires are still getting bigger. The NGO called the situation a climate emergency, saying the carbon emissions are nearly as much as 36 million cars they emit in a year. Authorities say they suspect the fires have been started intentionally to cover up illegal logging. Well, Anton Benislavsky is a fire expert with Greenpeace Russia. He told us the extent of the fires burning in Russia.
They're just a few percent of the fires currently active in Siberia are attended, and not all of them are taken under control. We estimate like few percent, like 4 or 5% of the all fires are currently suppressed.
Okay, so
95% still unattended.
Okay, so if 95% is still unattended, what are the chances of these fires being brought under control?
Unfortunately, these chances are quite low, almost zero, because this is such a big area could not be controlled by any available forces of Forest Service and Ministry of Emergency. So we expect that these fires in majority will stay active until rain comes.
Okay, so if we're going to be waiting for the rain, now the government took some time in responding to these fires. Had the response been earlier, do you think there would have been a greater chance of bringing this enormous blaze under control?
If fires would be in majority detected on an early stage and suppressed in a first few hours or even couple of days, then we can avoid catastrophes of this scale. Unfortunately, the governmental policy allowed local governments, regional governments, to avoid firefighting when these fires were controllable.
Okay, and so given the scale of this blaze, what impact is this having on the climate?
So it's not only CO2 emissions, which is 166 megatons of carbon dioxide, but it's also black carbon emissions. Black carbon is a black substance which travels with the wind to the Arctic ice and increases its melting. And also the frequent and repeating fires in Siberia convert forest lands into shrublands and then shrublands into grasslands, reducing the carbon stock and reducing ability of these forests to mitigate climate change via carbon uptake from atmosphere.
And this must be an area rich in wildlife. What wildlife is under threat because of these fires?
Flora and fauna of this area is quite rich. There are a lot of species of trees and other vegetation, and a lot of animals such iconic as bears, wolves, and others. And unfortunately, with these scales of fires, a lot of them will be killed by fire, especially small animals such as mice and others wormids. And this can also cause irreversible damage to the whole ecosystem.